everyone. Welcome back to my channel. As you can see, I have, is it Deann or just
Deann,
Deann? Okay, see,
Yep,
that's what you get when you get on my channel. Misspelled
I've
name.
done it too.
All right, so what we're doing here is that she has a thing for me, right? Wait, that didn't sound right. She
I
has
do have a thing for you.
she has a program. She has a program, or she has a plan that for this video, and I'm going to turn it over to her, and she's going to take the reins. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. All I am is just the host. So take it away, Deann.
Okay. Hi, everybody. I am so happy to have be talking today to Sheila Celtic Tarot. I think most of you know her. For those of you who don't, you really, really, really need to subscribe to her channel. I've been watching her a couple of years, and she's helped me, believe it or not, through so many rough times that she don't even know about. And I'm so happy and so blessed to have her on here. So I decided I wanted to get to know her. So, and since I've been watching her for so long, and I wanted to ask her some questions. So anyway, I have a few questions. I got a little list here of questions to ask you just because, so I can get to know you better. Even though I've been watching you for 2 years, there's certain things I've never got to ask you, and so the viewers can get a chance to know you too. So, you ready? I wanted to know, how did you first get into tarot? I mean, because I was always curious about that.
Right. So everybody knows that I was raised religion, so it wasn't through that, I guarantee you. However, I did have an older sister that did tarot cards, and this was back when I was probably, I don't know, 15, 16 years old. I would go visit her. We were living in Kansas at the time, and I would go visit her in Colorado, while she was pregnant and getting married, this, that, and the other. And she did tarot cards, and she just literally brought them out and showed me, and I was instantly connected to the tarot cards. And she really taught me a lot, actually, what the tarot cards meaning, and she would give me readings and stuff like that. And so her and I have been kind of, buddied. She was older than me, but buddied up in this metaphysical life together for quite some time. So that's where I was first introduced to tarot cards, was through my older sister, and her name is Yvonne.
Oh, okay. Well, I know you said that you were raised Mormon, and I know I went to church at Baptist church, for all my life. So we were always taught tarot's bad, it's a sin, you can't do it, blah, blah, feel guilt, 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 guilt. And so were you made to feel that way? Does anybody in your family or friends know that you do tarot, and have you had any kind of people making you feel that way, guilt, when you first started out?
Sure.
Or
So
did you have to hide it?
it was a secret that my sister was telling me tarot cards. This was like down in her basement. Nobody knows, this was like secret. And her showing me tarot cards. So when I would go back to my home, and then you go back to church, and of course you heard tarot cards are the devil's work. Don't do that. I mean, they really, really did not want any outside influences whatsoever with their members, because they wanted to indoctrinate them on their path and make sure that they knew that this was the only way. So anything on the outside, I mean, even if you were a Catholic, I wasn't supposed to listen to you if you were a Catholic or in any other religion, but definitely not in the metaphysical life and tarot cards and stuff like that.
So how did you, so you were young, were you a teenager when you learned then? Or were you kind of older when your sister taught you?
No, I was around 15, 16 years old when she first
15 or
introduced.
16? So what made you decide to do a YouTube channel?
Well, that fast forward, I live a whole life, learn a few hard lessons in my 20s, come around to acknowledging who I am and stuff like that, go forward, raise a few children. divorce, get married again, lose my husband, my second husband, things like that. And so once I'm getting more lessons that I bargained for is what I kept on thinking. Apparently I asked for them, but I'm not sure, you know. Anyways, these lessons that keep on coming up and keep coming up. And then what the final kind of thing was when my husband had passed away, and I'm going through all of this transition, and then Trump.
That's what did it for me.
I think a lot of us awoken up like vibrating, like you have got to get on here and start, like with Linda, helping them out. My words weren't, you got to get on there and help people out. But mine was, you got to do a YouTube channel. I'm like, no, I'm not. And then I'm like, then I would gather. I gathered my table. I gathered my cards, my picture. I wanted everything. If you look at my first videos, man, everything was just like beautiful and all that. Gather. Well, I figured out that gathering is also a habit.
It is? Oh, well.
Yeah, you got to move past the gathering stage in order to do something. However, finally, I was like, one night, I was awoken, like I sat up in bed, and this is, do your YouTube channel. And finally, I think my children were up in Chicago. I was down home all by myself, and I'm screaming, fine. Spirit and I have that relationship. And so I get down here to my basement where I had all of my stuff. I had it over here in the corner, and I just did my first video and popped it up. And
were you nervous the first time you did it?
Well,
being in front of people at all?
I'm not sure if I was well, I can explain the reason why I showed my hands here if you want me to, but
yeah.
It wasn't the nervousness. I don't think it was like nervousness. It was more like satisfying a parent. See, I did it, It was that kind of an energy. See, I did it. Now take it. And it's almost like, well, I did it. So now you have to show up and direct me. You, Spirit, now that I've done the work,
Yes.
Let's go.
And I can relate to that about the Trump thing, because that is what got me started, because that's what got me started watching you guys. And I'll tell you, I remember Linda G saying that she was told that it would comfort people. And it did me, because what it did is it made me feel like, I felt like everything was so dark around me, but it made me feel, listening to you guys, that there's a light at the end of the tunnel. Correct. I was able to see things from a better perspective instead of just the, doom and gloom of Trump. I think it does help so many people, doing the political tarot. And you're so good at it too.
Oh, thank you. Thank goodness. Yeah. Well, I have to mention my girl Autumn over on Orange.
Black and White Tarot.
Black and Orange Tarot.
Black and Orange. Yeah.
I would listen to her every single day on the political spectrum as well before I put my video up there. And I watched how she do it, and she just really inspired me to also do and just do it also. So I just want to give her that credit, because she really was important to me on how I was listening and being comforted as well. I mean, I was out there being comforted by tarot readers myself. Wow, you weren't alone. And so she inspired me to also get on and just do it. Just do it.
She is really good. I watch her sometimes. She's such a perfectionist too, because she's got the spot on the screen, and her shirt matches and her nails match, and everything is just pristine and perfect, and she's got the times down, and
that's her.
Yeah.
I think she's a Scorpion too, to be honest with you.
Is she?
I could be wrong. She'll correct me.
Might be.
However, she is incredibly sweet on privately as well. This woman doesn't change from video to private. She's exactly
she is what she is.
She's the same. Yeah. She's what you get on screen is what you get off screen as well. She's just lovely.
Oh, she is. And I just watch her. I'm like, oh my gosh, she is such an organized person.
Beautiful. Yeah,
I have so much to learn from her. How did you get the name Celtic Tarot, Sheila Celtic Tarot? How did you choose your name? Do a chant.
So I'll go into two. I'll explain my don't let me forget about the hands thing, because I you know how they are. But well, I was asking spirit to help me with the name, you know, and I think about it. I mean, I just did my DNA test. I am like 97%, you know, Celtic. The other ones, you know, English, you know, I am really Irish, you know what I mean? And so I thought, okay, well, I like the word Celtic, and a lot of people, I like Celtic, the word Celtic, but that doesn't fit right. So I have to say it the right way, Celtic, right?
Okay.
Be proper. And so at first, my first videos was Celtic Witch Tarot. And I like the word witch in there because it made me feel like, you know, a little bit of a, you know, troublemaker, you know, right? Well, after a couple of months of having witch in there, it just didn't feel right anymore. And so I removed the word witch and I went to Celtic Tarot, and that was solidified it. Well, it was because I had an attitude, or not the higher intention meaning when I put the word witch in there. It was for ego. And so once I've learned these things in my life, is when I do these things out of ego, they don't have longevity of feeling good and clarifications and things like that. So that was one of the reasons why I also remove it. And like I'll remove the ego and just put Celtic Tarot-Sheila on there. So
I understand the witch part though too. I was always, when I was a little kid, my favorite show was Bewitched.
Yes.
And I remember watching that, and I remember practicing, thinking, I'm going to try to levitate that ashtray. My mother would come in and say, what are you doing? I'm like, nothing.
Yeah, nothing.
But so I know what you mean with that. How did you, I've been watching you, and I see you've been doing some, first I seen Whimsy do it, but and then later I seen that you were doing, remote viewing. And I just wondered, how did you learn to do that? And where does one that wants to learn to do that learn?
Okay, so first I was going to explain the hands. So every one of my first videos, all I showed was my hands. Now I am an empathic. If you meet a true empath, an empath is usually 1 to 2 degrees removed from exposure. Not that you can't know who I am. It is that we have a mechanism in our makeup that protects us from exposing us to criticism. And so when that happened, you see my hands, you know, showing on there, but you weren't going to see my face or my hair. Nobody can tell me if I'm ugly or pretty or if my hair is bad or anything like that. See, that was the thing. So I had to literally face that fear and walk through that and just stop worrying about what other people, you know, that criticism that may or may not come on that, and just be brave. And that was one of the things that my empathic soul had to work through. So that was the reasoning for the hands. And then finally full face was, if you watch any of my older ones, you can see that journey. And sometimes I'll go back and watch the ones that I was full face, and I can feel my breath just, you know, in those, I can hear my breath, it just being taken away because I'm just walking through that fear. So empaths are truly, truly remarkable people, that they are always 1 to 2 degrees removed from exposure, from crowds, from everything, you know, so that we don't have to experience the negative thoughts or feelings or energies, which on the flip side of that, we have to learn how to deal with it. So that's also our soul journey, to walk through it.
Okay, well, you know, just speaking of that, I'm an empath. I feel things very, very much, to where, like, if I go into, say, Walmart and there's too many people around, I'm like feeling everybody's energy, and it gets overwhelming, and I have to leave. Mm-hmm. I have to get out of there. And then I tend to be more of a homebody, you know, because of that, you know. How do you, when you are an empath, is there a certain way when you get on live, or when you get on and do a video, that you protect yourself, or when you go into a store as an empath, that you protect yourself from the bad energy coming at you?
So I'm 100% protected all the time. I did that prayer years ago. I do not have to redo a prayer. I haven't rescinded it. And I haven't, all I had is one time. I want to be protected 100% at all times. I fully believe in that. That's my belief system. Done. I don't have to do anything else. Now, sometimes I do a little sage just to, try to, remove some energies out so that I can work. But I'm always 100% protected. The other thing is I've learned to go on Sunday mornings when everybody's either in church or hungover when you go to the store.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I go on off seasons to vacations, so it's not packed. I do everything in my life to make sure that I have the minimal amount of crowd. I will go to dinner at 4:00. Somebody wants to go to dinner with me. I go to 4:00 and then leave by, 5 or 6 when the crowd's starting to show up. I, always before or after a big crowd or whatever that is. And that's how I have mitigated the stress that I feel. I never go to a concert. Been there, done that, never do that again. And a lot of people want me to go to great big huge conferences, and in my world I have conferences that I'm like, this is a world conference, you gotta be there. No, I don't. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I am not interested in being in a great big huge crowd. Never have, never will.
Me neither. I do the same thing. If I go out with friends, I want to go one-on-one. Yep. If they say, you want to come out, a bunch of us girls are going to the movie, it's like, I'm more of a one-on-one person. I'm like you, go to the grocery store when it's not busy, or have them delivered. We can have them delivered here, which is awesome.
This part has saved my soul, and I mean that.
Yes. It's just so nice to just order the groceries and have them. I tell them to leave them at the door. I don't even see the person. Leave them at the door. And yeah, I'm going on vacation the beginning of May, and I made it where I thought all the kids will be in school. There won't be that many people. I don't want to go during peak season. So yeah, it does help. So it's nice knowing that that's the same way you are, Yes. It just kind of helps.
Well, it also helps to know that all the empaths are doing the same thing. So the people you're meeting out there are also empaths.
Yes. They're trying to avoid the crowds and stuff too.
They're just like you.
I know. So. Well, I was going to ask you, like I said, I've seen you do some the remote viewing. Can you explain what that is?
So I've always done remote viewing, just didn't know exactly what it was. I've always been hijacked. Always. There's nothing that I did to create it, nothing I did to learn it. I just want you to know that. I bet you anything, everybody has it. I fully believe that everybody has it. It's that daydream, it's that information, it's that download in the middle of a question that you were just answering. These what I call the remote. Now, there's quite a few different remotes. Now, Whimsy, she will go into a remote and literally take her being and go and visit them, like at that place and currently do this and that. My remotes are, I go find them, but mine is like in the Akashic records, like metaphorically. Sometimes I'll see the spirit information, like that person's red. Why is that person red? Why is that person green? Why is it yellow? Why are they pushing a cart? Those type of remotes. So she's seeing actual physical things when she goes in and sees that, and she can ask questions while she's there, and she can get spirit information. But mine is literally that. And I have a feeling the reason why I didn't know what was going on. So when Whimsy came around, I finally understood it. And only thing I learned how to do is, I don't know, control is such a elusive thing, but I was able to, I don't know, the best word for it is that I learned how to hone in on it. I don't know how else to explain it.
Did you take a class or anything for that, or did you just knew how to do that on your own? I did a couple of classes with Whimsy. It literally is when I ask a question of spirit will tell me what I need. So it's not like I went into class. No, I've always done it. I didn't know what it was. Now that I have a name for it, now that I have that, I always ask spirit to help me through everything. If there was anything that this whole thing is I always include spirit in everything that I do. Okay. In asking, focusing, help me,
show me, what is this? Everything. And that is where I said, have you been to a class? No, I asked Spirit to help me with that. Where did you learn that? I asked Spirit to show me and direct me where I could get that information.
Okay, so is that something you think anybody can learn if
Always.
they ask their guides and Spirit to help them?
I think everybody already does it. I think they need to connect with Spirit deeper and better in order to focus on doing it. Okay. There's nothing out, there's no external class you can take and all of a sudden you're a remote viewer.
Okay.
I am a remote viewer. Now I'm going to connect with Spirit to show me what I need to do.
Okay. How do you when you first got started in this, is there a certain way that you develop a closer relationship with your guides or get to hear them better? What did you do at the beginning to get close to your guides?
It wasn't me. It was the removal of things that got me closer. I removed hatred. I removed resentful. I started to understand and be clear about things in my life. You see, I went through eliminating everything that is not me. You see, I'm jealousy, worthless, right? It's a worthless feeling. Do everything you can to remove that. And when it crops up, you ask Spirit to help you through it. There's no other way of doing it. I get angry. Well, I get angry, yes, but I am not an angry person. There's a huge difference. I am angry about something, but you see, I'm still tapping into Spirit to tell me the truth. Why is this angry? Why is this more of a better question? Why is this affecting me? What do I need to work on the inside? So it's not that I have done some extra stuff. It is the removal of all of that. Removal of ego, removal of jealousy, resentment, things like that. And then hone in on understanding what really Spirit is really trying to say and what it is that what my role is. My best question for myself is what am I supposed to, where can I be? What's that one question that says, how can I be helpful? What is my role here? One of my favorite little mantras is, let me be who I need to be. Let me say what I need to say. And if I need to shut up, then shut me up.
Yeah.
So I am connected. It is literally this, you and Spirit is where that I think is where we're most powerful.
Okay. Well, do you do like personal readings still? Do you have classes that you ever teach?
I am going to, soon as I'm also in a completion mode right now, and it's taken a toll. If anybody has gone through a completion, I am retiring at the end of this month. So I'm going in through a literal completion of working on the outside to where I'm going to be doing this more. And that's when I'm going to probably do some classes. I do personal readings. You can get one from me. It's underneath all of my videos. There's a link there. You go pick your time. And there's only one date right now, but I'm adding. So once my completion of work at the end of this month, it's going to go a lot more.
What kind of classes were you thinking you might be interested in teaching? Were you thinking maybe tarot classes or the remote?
Possibly. There's a lot of readers out there that are doing tarot classes, but I don't know yet. Spirit and I haven't had a great conversation. I haven't had a long conversation about that yet. When it's time, we'll have a conversation about it and we'll see what comes up.
And I asked you before, we were talking about whether do you have you had asked Linda this, and I thought I'd ask you this. Do you have a certain mentor or spiritual teacher that you go back to or admire, or a certain author or somebody who you feel it really, really helped you and guide you through this?
Yeah. One of my first books that I had read back in the day, and now I have a dyslexia, so reading is really hard for me. So I when I say read a book, it's usually that CD that I popped in my CD player driving. Okay.
Audiobook or
an audio. Yeah, it was like a CD that I played. So it was Carolyn Mace. Carolyn Mace, she brought me, it was, well, there was so many other ones, but Carolyn Mace really honed in on, like, I think the first one that I read with her was, oh gosh, why can't I think of the name of it right now? It happens to me every time. Self-esteem. So the first one I read or heard from with her was self-esteem, and she brought me to a core gut-wrenching realization what self-esteem is and where you need it and how you need it and where you get it from and stuff like that. So that helped. And then she talked about having contracts with other people in your life and things like that. And so Carolyn Makes was really important to me. And then I got into muscle testing with I forget what literature I read. It's probably through the people of the metaphysical lifestyle that I was here in Colorado Springs that I was dealing with. But, medical, so you muscle testing if something is, good or bad in your body. So I got into a little bit of that. And then I did palmistry. So I read palmistry. You know what I mean? I do palmistry. I've done, pendulums, and I've done, all of these things that you just kind of raise up, and many books on astrology, each and every one of the signs. What does the sign mean? What characteristics are in there? So I learned a lot of that, all the books I could read on that. And then as I'm going more and more, you see, Michael Bernard Beckwith, unbelievable. I love all of his material that he has had in his journey. I also loved Wayne Dyer. Wayne Dyer was one of my favorites. Currently is Abraham Hicks. It's like everybody I do reading on, go watch Abraham Hicks. You know what I mean? It's
I'm
like,
gonna have to check that out.
Yes, Abraham Hicks. I mean, she channels Abraham, right? And so just right down our alley, but she answers so many spiritual questions in her teachings. And so definitely Abraham Hicks. So there's so many of them, but I've never been a person who would read a autobiography or something like that. I've always, anytime I went into like a Barnes and Noble, I'm metaphysical books, you know what I mean?
Me too. But then when I wanted to look at them, I always felt, because of my family background, I always felt guilt. And I know my first set of tarot cards, I felt guilt, throw them away. Got another set, throw them away. Then felt like I had to hide it from friends and family, and not many people knew I had a YouTube channel. So does everybody in your family know you have a YouTube channel, or you have to kind of keep it from certain people like I do, or, and then sometimes I think I shouldn't have to.
Well, what has happened with me is that the healthier I got, the more my family took me out. I don't associate with them anymore. And I used to feel guilty about getting healthier. Like if I get healthier, my family's not going to want me around. And it was the truth. I knew it, like spiritually, mentally, emotionally. I knew that was going to happen. And one day I said, I'm good enough to feel better. I don't have to stay with them. These people, I did not birth any of these people. Right? They're not, I don't have no obligation to them whatsoever. I don't know if they know, but I don't care if they know anymore.
Yeah, I have a sister who, I haven't seen her in 5 years because she's very much a Trumper, and she's very much somebody who would preach at me, tell me I'm going to hell, all that kind of stuff. And I think, I have been this way all my life. I just kept suppressing it, probably like you. You're like, I'm not supposed to be this. I'm not supposed to be this. But it does feel good when you can finally just be yourself. And you like what you like, and you're interested in what you're interested in. And it does feel good. I did finally tell a couple of friends, and I did tell my brother who was against it. And I said, this is me. This is what I like. You don't have to do it. I'm not telling you what to be and how to be, but I have a right to be how I am, So yeah, it does hurt when that happens, but it feels good to be able to be yourself. Well, to not be able to be told you're wrong for being you.
Right. Well, that started for me when I was 21 years old. I mean, I had the biggest that's where the biggest transition, where I had to transition out of what they wanted me to be and just be
Mm-hmm.
me. Now that my 20s was literally a learning experience, and I can't, I know a lot of 20 people who from 20 to 30, just that was like impactful,
Yeah.
but it started at 20 years old when I literally permanently left the church and told the church to just step off, and I'm not doing it anymore. So at 21, this 21-year-old, divorced, two young babies, going off into the world with no idea how to function really, is getting rid of the most dangerous thing to my spirit, was getting rid of the church.
But you know what? There's so many people are so grateful, and you're helping so many people, and you are, you just have such positive energy that I'm so happy you made the decision. As hard as it was, I'm glad you made the decision for yourself to do what was right for you.
Right. Here's when it was like a hard decision. I think it was, I had no other choice, because if not, I was going to die inside. When you
Yeah.
are stuck with that choice, that decision, either you die inside, become a corpse walking around, or you start going towards building who you are and a life. When you have that choice going around, you don't care what the other people think anymore.
Yeah.
It's irrelevant.
And it's dealt in, it seems like when I was going to church, it was always like guilt and fear, guilt and fear. And I don't know how many times I'm like, I'm sorry, I'm always, always afraid that if I did anything wrong, even if I had a bad thought,
Yep.
that I wouldn't go to heaven.
Yep.
And I think watching you guys actually helped me get over that.
Yeah.
And like I said, I'm really grateful. I don't think how I want to cry. I don't think you know how much
good
you have done for me and helped me. And probably it's me. I know it's other people. However many thousands of people watch you, you're a light to a lot of people. So I'm grateful for you. I have to say that. I mean, like I said, I want to get a little teary-eyed because I really, really mean it. I just am so grateful for you. And I feel like this is such a miracle almost that I'm getting to even sit here and talk to you. Because for 2 years I was watching you and you helped me so much, but you weren't somebody I thought I would ever get to talk to. Like I said before, when I met you, I was like, she's here, I'm down here. But you told me no. You said we're all the same.
Yep.
But I just feel like I am so happy to get to be talking to you. You meant a lot to me. You mean a lot to me, even though I've never met you. And I think you mean a lot to a lot of other people. I just wanted you to know that part.
Thank you.
But you had asked her, what was the most, you asked Linda, I thought I was going to give you this one too. And what was the most painful lesson you had to learn? Or was it what we just talked about?
It was just what we were talking about, that separation from what you know, and the only thing you know of love, to self-love. It was that separation where I am tapping into their only thing I knew how to do is how to get love was from my family, which was painful love. And
yeah.
So that hardest lesson was that separation. No, self-love is where it needs to come from. And when this dried up, you see, there was no, and I knew when this dried up, there was no going back. And therefore I am left with only self-love. And I tell you, that's when the fear kind of sets in sometimes. But that was my most painful lesson, is I do not have to continue on with my family of origin. There's a lot of people out there, oh, she's your mother. Yeah, so what?
Yeah, that's what I was told by my mom. She lived with us for 25 years. And when she had passed, the last word she said is, I just want you kids to get along. And that had haunted me because I really thought, I got it. It's your sister. It doesn't matter what she does to you. It doesn't matter if she's a narcissist. It doesn't matter it doesn't matter. She's your sister. You need to.
Yeah.
And I'm finally learning, and it's hard, still hard, but I'm finally learning that I can love her from a distance. I can forgive her from a distance. I can forgive myself and wish her happiness, but I don't have to have that negative, toxic stuff in my life, and I don't have to have people telling me who I'm supposed to be. Mm-hmm. And that I have had so much insecurity put in me from childhood and from church and from all that stuff. It takes a long time to overcome that, and then once you do, you don't want to go back to it.
No, you can't.
No, it's just you work so hard to overcome that.
You can't put the biscuit back into the case.
Yes, and you don't want to really. No. So yeah, that was a tough lesson for me too.
I always say that I am available for the best relationship possible with anybody and everybody around me. And if separation is the best relationship possible, then separation it is.
Yeah. And like I said, it's something that takes a long time because it's almost like you're programmed to be a certain way. And it feels like, like cult type things. Sometimes you have to deprogram. Yes. Like you feel like you were brainwashed in some ways, and there's always those pieces that are still in me that I'm still working on, Yep. And that's why I was asking you what things had helped you, because I, helped me too.
Right.
What was your most joyous lesson?
My most joyous lesson was when it was probably, I don't know what else, like 30, 32 years old. And one moment I realized that I was taking care of myself and my children. And it was like that aha moment, like I'm doing it. And it was just the realization that I could do it by myself, with spirit, don't get me wrong. But you know what I mean? It was like, I am functioning. I am feeling better. I get to choose people I get to hang around with. I get to choose the job I go to. I get to choose how much money or how little money I make. I get to choose the vehicle I get to drive. I get to choose the state, the country that you know what I mean? That was my best thing is like, oh, I do not have to follow in somebody else's idea of what my life should be.
Yeah, it's like a freedom.
It was so freeing. I get to choose. And when that was my best thing here. And why did it take me till I was 32? I'll never know. But I know that one moment I'm standing in the sunshine on top of a mountain because I hiked, and I'm like, I get to choose how to live my life. No religion is going to tell me how to do it. I mean, even if I wanted to be a criminal, I could do that if I wanted to. I have to reap the consequences, but if I wanted to, I could do it, right? And I got to choose. And it was like this whole huge platform and foundation that I moved forward with that day.
Well, I know that is a hard thing to do, to realize. You were in your 30s at least when you found out. I'm 57 before I realized it. It took me a long time, a lot of years, but I think now that I'm, my husband's 13 years older, he's 70. And so we sit there and think, we are at the more towards the end of our lives. I don't want to spend the rest of my life feeling guilt, mm-hmm. feeling, ashamed, feeling insecure. So I'm like you. I felt like, you're 57 years old. Mom is gone. My sister, I'm going to be who I want to be. And it does. It feels so good to be able to do that. And this community is wonderful. There's so many wonderful readers and so many wonderful subscribers and the people in the chat, and they're so encouraging of each other. I have never felt this much love and encouragement in any church I've gone to. And I'll tell you, I've been to them all. Right. I've been to Mormon church too. And I've been to them all, Church of Latter-day Saints, Catholic Church, Baptist, and looking for the truth and looking for love. And I found a lot of judgment, and I found a lot of, guilt, just guilt.
Parentheses that you have to live in.
Yes.
I'm not willing to live in anybody else's parentheses anymore.
Yeah. And you had asked her a question that I was curious about how you would answer, Linda. I'm talking about, what is your idea of a higher power or God now? Now you're out of the Mormon church. I'm out of the Baptist church. What is your idea of a higher power and God? Who do you believe for him to be?
In order to answer that question, I got to go back a little.
Okay.
When I was 30, 32 years old, that you know how in the Mormon church, they're like, this is your heavenly father, right? None of my fathers were worth loving. You know what I mean? I didn't, there was this like, you were trying to place a man idea in front of me. Not that this is, how can I put this? Like a fatherly figure, which I resented, right? There was some really bad stuff happening with this fatherly figure, And so, and I had to drop it. I'm like, okay, now I had to shift out of this idea from a church idea, like a heavenly father was a parent and I was the child. I'm like, I am not a child. Right. I am an adult and I get to choose my way of life. I do not. So I literally obliviated this higher, lower, child, father circumstance. I crossed it out. Bam, bam. Right. So I was then, with a blank slate, was able to create my idea of spirit. Now, my idea of spirit is somebody who, or something, or power. It's like a power. If that's the only thing I can really describe my idea of a higher power, is literal power. I can tap in to this power, connect, and this power, and this light eliminates. And this power, you can hear it hum, you can hear it talk to you, you can feel the loving warmth from the power. And once I realized that I was also, once I tapped into that power, I was also giving power to the power. The same. I'm the same. This power that spirit that I talk to, this energy, this stuff that swirls around me is also gaining what I have too. It's equal, co-creating in this power. So once that had happened, I do not have a description, really. I say spirit just so that everybody understands universally what I'm talking about. But truthfully, I place no limitations. I place no names. I'm human. I cannot come up with the name of what this is. I place no boundaries whatsoever. I do not have to, I will reap my own consequences if I do something, and the consequences of that both ways. If I'm loving to somebody, I get love back. If I'm hateful to somebody, I get hate back. I mean, this is just how it works for me. So I have to be really conscious and aware of what I'm thinking, what I'm saying, and what I'm doing, especially when I'm working with, other human beings.
Okay.
So that is where it's like there is no description other than power, I guess, is the only thing that I can come up with. But I eliminated all other belief systems, and I was given the gift of knowledge to come up with my own, comforting, loving, taken care of, always there, never leave me alone. And I can tap into it anytime I want. I don't have to get good in order to go to the spirit. I am there. And like spirit meets me where I am. I don't have to do anything to deserve it. It's already there. And these were the things that I've learned through all of that. And it changed my whole perception of what spirit and God was, or whatever, because of the freedom that I now reap. It's a freedom that no longer can you tell me what you think, what parentheses I have to live in, and I don't have to anymore.
Yeah, because any church I've gone to is always like it's conditional. Always. There's a lot of conditional. And I always felt not good enough. And then, when the people would come on Easter, like Easter's coming up. If I would go to church on Easter, you always hear the preacher say, well, there's those people that only come on Easter. And you're like, well, I guess I just won't come at all. You know what I mean? Because you feel like you're getting guilt because you did come, because you didn't come every day or every week or and so I know what you mean. And I feel the same way. My idea of God is, or universe or spirit, whatever anybody wants to call them, is unconditional love. Unconditional love, like you said, always there for me, always can talk to, always has my best interest at heart, always there to help me. There are no conditions on the love.
Well, here's a little story. When I was, I think I was in Sunday school, and I may have been 6 or 7 years old. I don't know, 6 probably, in Sunday school. And I'm sitting there, and they're teaching you, how to get it, what you have to do to get into heaven. And then, of course, they teach you what you have to do to go to hell. Right. This is what this is the teaching of what they teach little girls. And I remember sitting there, and they're teaching all these children what you have to do, the parentheses that you have to build your life in order to get into heaven. I remember being 6 years old and sitting in there going, I'm screwed.
Right.
I have a moment in time where I realize everybody in this room is going to heaven. And I know as a 6-year-old, I can't make it because I know that's not me.
Yes.
And I remember that whole profound, and I felt like I now had to hide who Sheila is because I have to pretend that I'm going to heaven just like everybody else is, because I know I'm not. And for some reason, I got that information, like I'm screwed. There's no way I can meet your insane demands as a 6-year-old. And now I wonder how many 6-year-olds literally sat there and felt the same thing. That they also had to hide who they were in order to please the parents and please the church, in order to function like, I'm going to heaven, knowing dang well that we can't meet these insane demands.
Right. I was 8 years old, and when I went to church, I got this Bible, and I still have it, and it was for bringing the most kids to church. Well, the reason I brought the most kids to church was because I was told all my Catholic friends were going to hell. All my Jewish friends were going to hell. All these ones, if they didn't, say these certain words, they were going to hell. So I loved my friends, and I was a little kid, and I was terrified. I don't want my friends to burn in hell. They made it so it's like, I thought, why would God do that? If he loves us, why would he make us burn in hell? So I would beg my friends to come to church with me, because I was so certain that if I didn't get them there and get them to say those words, they were going to go to hell. And I couldn't figure it out because my friends, Hispanic friends, they were Catholic, but they had crosses and all that. I'm like, but they like Jesus, they like God. Why do they have to go to hell? Why Jewish people, wasn't Jesus just? I've always questioned everything and got in trouble for it. I asked if my dog that passed would go to heaven, and they said, oh, animals don't go to heaven. I go, how do you know? I was 8 years old. I go, how do you know? And she says, well, they don't have a soul. I says, well, how do you know? And she says, well, I said, my dog loves and is happy and sad and mad and bored and playful, and every emotion I have, my dog has. So isn't that a spirit? And they said, no. I go, well, what happens to them? Oh, nothing. You bury them, they're gone. And I cried and cried and cried, and I walked out of that classroom, and I refused to ever go back. And my mom says, you need to go back. I said, no, I'm not. I won't go back in there. And then I was forced to say prayers when I didn't want to. They said, you have to. I'm like, I don't want to, And as a child, I was questioning. I had a friend that was Black that I took to church with me, and everybody looked at her like she had some sort of disease. You guys see it, 8 years old. I seen their heads all turn. I'm like, you wanted me to bring my friends to church. Why are you all looking at her, making her uncomfortable? And another friend who had long hair in the 70s, and they said, well, once he gets a haircut, he can come back. And I'm like, but she said he's going to burn in hell. You don't care. Why do you care about his hair? Don't you care about his soul? I thought that was number one, So as a child, I kept questioning these things too, thinking something isn't right. I even was told at a church picnic I couldn't go because I didn't own a dress. They told my mother that the ladies of the church will make her dresses. And my mom said, you're not going back there. So, I was like you as a child. I knew that this just don't feel right, and I thought, well, somebody who loves us is not going to put us in a bad place like that.
Right.
So, you guys kind of helped me out of that, and like I said, 57 years old, and I'm finally, getting out of that. And I wish I would have, like you, in my 30s, because I put a lot of guilt on my own child because of the way I was raised. I put that onto her, and it messed her up in ways. Yeah. And now I'm sorry, and I want to change it, but it's hard,
She has her own journey, honey. She has her own journey. She has her own things that she has to move away from and face and things like that. So don't worry about that. Spirit's always there for her too. She's not alone. You have spirit, I have spirit, she has spirit too. So you are no longer a parent. You're not mom, you know what I mean? You're not, how can I put this? That sounds awful.
She's 37 now.
She doesn't need mothering anymore.
Yeah.
So it's over.
I did what I did, but I think we all as parents sometimes do things we regret, and there's things that our parents taught us sometimes. Right. Like I said, it takes time to get that out of your head. I thought I was doing the right thing.
I know.
I thought I was telling her the right thing because I was telling her what I was taught, and this is right. And now I'm learning I wasn't right. You know?
When I was 21 years old, I promised my children I will never do that to them. I did not take them back to a church ever. None of it.
Yeah, I don't think I will either. I just, I can, like I said, I can honor God, Holy Spirit, whatever, in my own house. I don't need to go to a building somewhere, and I don't need to be told I'm bad all the time.
I don't need to give anybody money so that I can be saved.
Right. And you know what I always thought as a kid, you see people that ask for money and they're wearing diamond rings and driving fancy cars, some of these preachers, and they're asking this lady on Social Security who's barely getting by, well, if you want God to bless you, give this much of your money. And I just always hated that. I'm almost in here. I'm so sorry. I had so many questions for you. Don't kill me.
Well, we can only do like maybe a couple of more because I think we're getting
Okay, well, that's okay. I'm going to ask, how do you define, did you have to do shadow work? I've heard people say they do shadow work.
Absolutely.
What is that?
Shadow work is, okay, so back in the day, like when you were 20, right? Somebody gave you some really good advice, but you didn't take it. Shadow work is, why did you pass up such good advice?
Oh, kind of learning from like what I'm doing now.
Yeah. Why did you ignore that good advice? What ego showed up? What attitude showed up? What resentment showed up? What everything? That's shadow work. So it like bring it all the way to here and now. So I get on there and I'm watching, maybe this is just hypothetical. Don't take nothing about it. It's hypothetical. I'm watching another reader and I'm all of a sudden jealous that they have so-and-so on their channel. Now, this happened to me like 2 or 3 years ago, but that shadow work is, why would that bother you?
Right.
So then I have to go into their reason why I am affected by something that somebody else is doing. Like it had nothing to do with me. Their choices, of course, they can have whoever they want on their channel. And in fact, that's exactly what we should be promoting. Everybody being, with everybody. But all of a sudden, I'm not, and that's shadow work. Why did that bother you? And so I have to answer those own internal questions. Why are you whatever? What is it that you haven't resolved? Where's the healing that needs to be done? That's shadow work. Always question your thinking and your attitudes, especially when they do not align with spirit. Okay. Jealousy does not align with spirit. Anger does not align with spirit. Worry does not align with spirit. Shame does not align with spirit. Lack of self-esteem does not align with spirit. So that is your shadow work, the reason why you're having any and all of those type of things. Once you work through each, sometimes it's one-on-one, sometimes you can do a whole generation. I don't know, but that's your shadow work is to really examine why you are being affected by somebody else's behavior. Now, Trumpers will never get to that point. That's the reason why they're affected by us. You see, okay. That's why they act like they do, because they don't know the shadow work is not what they do in their life. Yeah. But we are responsible and awake and we know better.
Like, why do they get mad that you have a mask on? Yeah. What does it affect them? Why do they care?
Correct. Well, so that would be their shadow work. You need to go home and figure out why you're upset about that. That's their shadow work.
Okay. And my last question is, A lot of people talk about light workers. Can you tell me what a light worker is, or kind of what you think a light worker is?
Anybody that lives and promotes and also helps other people to see the light.
Okay.
That's it.
Well, thank you. I'm so sorry. I had 50 million questions. I have been waiting and waiting. I mean, and just
You don't have to apologize.
to you. I just so excited. Thank you so much. I know that you got some things to do, so I won't ask any more questions. I got through them all. And
Good.
is there anything you want to tell anybody about any shows you have coming up, or anything you have that they, for them to know?
Well, I don't know if I have anything planned. I think I'm also going to be on Helen's channel. Helen from Irish Tarot Granny Irish.
Uh-huh.
Anyways,
I've seen
Helen,
her, yeah.
Yeah. Her and I are going to get more in-depth conversation about this religious thing. So that's going to be a good conversation.
I will watch.
Definitely watch her.
Two Irish girls.
Yep. And what is your channel? Your channel is Shield Maiden Tarot?
It's Deann. My name Deann, Deann, and then Shield Maiden Tarot.
Perfect. So everybody can go find you as well. So
yeah, and I will leave. Well, I guess it's you're taping, so
I know it's going to be a little confusing for everybody, but I'll do my best when I'm editing to let them know that.
Yeah,
it is what it is.
It is what it is, and I'm so grateful because, I'm new at this computer and tech stuff. So this is like, I feel like, grandma here trying to figure it out. So thank you for helping me with that stuff too.
You're welcome. So once this posts, just share it to your community page and everybody will be able to see it.
Okay. Well, thank you, Sheila, so much.
You're welcome.
Appreciate it.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.